If you remember back in the SSCP cryptography course, one of the things I talked about is Web of Trust. And this was especially a big deal. It's still a big deal today, but it was a huge deal when I was younger and this first came out, which was 91, 92. Web of Trust is where you don't have a centralized PKI environment, but you want the exchange of certificates. You want certificates to work just as you would. So you authorize within a group of people, you can exchange certificates. And I even talked about that process. So if you forgot about it, go back and look at the Web of Trust. How we do that is by using PGP, pretty good privacy. And I have it in the slide at some point, but this is for data encryption and decryption. And this came out in 1991. That's where I have it somewhere here in the slide. Phil Zimmerman put this together, and it's used today for signing. You can use it for encrypting files, email, and one of the tools, and this is why I'm bringing it up again. One of the tools that I'm going to give you is a disk partition encryption tool that uses PGP for it. Now, pretty good privacy. I forget why he came up with the name Pretty Good Privacy. This was Phil Zimmerman in 91 came out with this. I think it may have had something to do with a restaurant, if I can remember correctly. And by the way, there's great history behind PGP. At the time when this came out in 1991, getting good encryption was pretty tough. And this was encryption that necessarily the government didn't have access to. Remember we talked about the government access to keys? Because you're doing this with your friends. And so the government's not involved. One of the challenges, and I remember when this was going on, was that this was better encryption than was allowed to be exported. And what that means is that it couldn't be used by foreign governments because our government couldn't crack it. And so Phil Zimmerman had marked this. I think, as he was talking about it when it released in 91, had marked everything as, not for export. But that doesn't actually prevent it from being exported. And it got exported, and the government actually started, investigating him. And there was a period of time we thought that they might throw him in jail for exporting this encryption system when he didn't intend it to be exported. A lot of great history here, but this is really good and we still use it today. And I just wanted to mention again because of one of the tools. And I just wanted to remind you that PGP is what we use with the Web of Trust.